Your dog already knows things about you that you've never told anyone. They know when you're pretending to be okay. They know which nights you struggle to sleep. But what if that's not the surprising part? What if the real surprise is this? While we've spent thousands of years trying to understand dogs, dogs may have spent those same thousands of years learning to understand us. Not just our routines, not just our voices, but our emotions, our habits, our worries, every breath, every tiny change we never realize we're making. And after years of quietly watching the person they love most, they may know us better than we know ourselves. Today, we're uncovering 15 scary accurate things your dog secretly knows about you. Asterisk asterisk. Some will make perfect sense. Some are surprisingly emotional. And a few are honestly a little unsettling. But if you only remember one thing from this video, make it number 11. Because it reveals an ability that has amazed scientists and left countless dog owners asking the same question: how did my dog know that? The answer isn't magic, and it isn't mind reading. It's something far more remarkable. Scientists now believe dogs are among the greatest observers of human behavior in the animal kingdom. They can recognize subtle changes in our body language, detect emotional shifts through scent, and notice patterns that most people never even realize they're giving away. Which means your dog may have been quietly studying you every single day without you ever noticing. So let's begin with the first thing your dog secretly knows about you, and why it might be far more accurate than you ever expected. Number 1. They know when you're pretending to be okay. Have you ever had one of those days when you smiled through every conversation, told everyone you were fine, but the moment you came home, your dog quietly walked over and refused to leave your side? Almost as if they knew something nobody else did. Most people call that a coincidence. But scientists believe your dog isn't responding to your words. They're responding to you. When we're stressed or emotionally overwhelmed, our bodies begin to change in ways we rarely notice ourselves. Our breathing becomes slightly different, our posture shifts, and even our scent changes as stress hormones are released. To another person, those signals are easy to miss. But to your dog, they're part of a pattern they've been quietly learning for years. That's why your dog sometimes comforts you before you've even realized how much you're carrying. They aren't reading your mind. They're reading the tiny signals your body has been giving away all along. And as remarkable as that sounds, some dogs can detect changes happening inside your body before you even know they're there. Number 2. They know exactly how long you've been gone. Have you ever noticed your dog waiting by the door just a few minutes before you arrive home, even when you came back earlier than expected? Most people assume they're listening for the sound of your car, but that's only part of the story. Researchers believe dogs may also be tracking something far more remarkable: your scent. Every room in your home carries your scent, but it doesn't stay the same. As time passes, it gradually becomes weaker. To us, that change is impossible to notice. But to a dog's extraordinary sense of smell, it's another clue. Over time, your dog learns how your scent changes throughout the day. That's one reason they often seem to know when you're getting close to home, even before they hear your footsteps. They're not watching the clock. They're reading a world of scents that we can't even detect. And if they can do something that incredible, the next thing they notice about you might surprise you even more. Number 3. They know you're about to leave before you touch your keys. Have you ever noticed your dog following you around the house, even though you haven't picked up your keys, opened the door, or said a single word? Somehow, they already know you're leaving. Most people assume dogs are simply watching for familiar objects like shoes or car keys. But researchers believe they're noticing something much earlier. A quick glance toward the door, the way you stand up, the direction you start walking, even tiny movements you don't realize you're making. After watching those same routines hundreds of times, your dog has learned to recognize the pattern long before you actually leave. To them, your departure doesn't begin when you open the front door. It begins with the smallest signals your body gives away. And once you realize how closely they've been watching, the next discovery becomes even harder to explain. Number 4. They've memorized every corner of your home. Move a chair just a few inches. Leave a suitcase where it doesn't normally belong. Or place a new box in the hallway. Your dog notices almost immediately. Most of us walk through our homes without thinking twice about the little changes around us. But your dog sees something completely different. Researchers believe dogs build detailed mental maps of the places they live. Over time, they memorize where familiar objects belong, making even small changes stand out. That's why some dogs stop to sniff a moved piece of furniture, or suddenly become curious about a bag you've left by the door. To them, something in their world has changed, and they've noticed it long before you have. The remarkable part isn't that your dog knows your home. It's just how incredibly well they've learned every corner of it. And if they can remember a room that precisely, imagine how much they've remembered about you. Number 5. They know when you're lying. This one surprises almost everyone. Have you ever noticed your dog staring at you differently while you're telling someone a story, or becoming unusually attentive during a tense conversation? It's tempting to think they somehow know you're lying. The truth is a little more fascinating. Researchers believe dogs aren't detecting the lie itself. They're detecting the changes that often come with it. When people aren't being completely honest, their breathing can change. Their voice may sound slightly different. Their body becomes a little more tense. Even subtle changes in scent can occur when we're nervous or under pressure. Most people never notice those tiny signals. But your dog has spent years learning exactly how you behave when you're relaxed and when something feels different. They may never know what you're hiding, but they often know that something has changed. And sometimes, that's all they need to notice, which makes the next discovery even stranger. Because your dog can also tell the difference between the voice you use for the world and the one that's truly you. Number 6. They know the difference between your real voice and your fake voice. Have you ever spoken to your dog in a cheerful voice, even though you weren't actually feeling cheerful? Most people assume dogs only recognize the words we say. But researchers have found that dogs pay close attention to how we say them. They listen to our tone, our rhythm, even the tiny changes in our voice that reveal how we're really feeling. That's why your dog may still stay close to you, even when you're smiling and saying, "I'm fine." Because your voice is telling a different story. After hearing you speak every single day for years, your dog has learned the sound of your genuine happiness, your genuine excitement, and your genuine calm. So when your emotions don't quite match your words, they often notice, not because they understand every sentence, but because they understand you. And as incredible as that sounds, your voice isn't the only thing they've been quietly keeping track of. Number 7. They know when you're not really paying attention. Have you ever been petting your dog while scrolling through your phone? Your hand keeps moving, but your mind is somewhere else. And somehow, your dog seems to know the difference. That isn't your imagination. Researchers studying canine social behavior have found that dogs pay close attention to human attention and engagement. They notice where we're looking, whether we're focused on them, and how we're interacting. To your dog, a distracted pat feels different from one that's completely present. That's why some dogs gently nudge your hand, place a paw on your arm, or quietly move in front of your phone. They're not just asking for more petting. They're asking for you. Because after years of living together, your dog has learned the difference between being touched and truly being noticed. And if they can tell when your attention has drifted, the next thing they've learned about you is even more surprising. Number 8. They remember the people who changed your behavior. Have you ever noticed your dog acting strangely around someone, even though that person has never done anything to your dog? Maybe they stay unusually quiet. Maybe they keep their distance. Or maybe they watch that person more closely than everyone else. It's easy to assume your dog simply doesn't like them. But researchers believe your dog may actually be reacting to something else. Dogs constantly observe how your body changes around different people. The way your voice sounds, your posture, your breathing, even the tiny expressions on your face. Over time, they begin connecting those patterns with specific individuals. So if someone consistently makes you tense, uncomfortable, or uneasy, your dog may remember that pattern long after you've forgotten the moment yourself. They aren't judging people the way humans do. They're remembering how you changed around them. And if your dog can remember people through your emotions, the next thing they've learned about you is even harder to explain. Number 9. They can predict your next move before you make it. Have you ever wondered how your dog is already standing by the front door before you've even picked up the leash? Or waiting in the kitchen before you've opened the treat drawer? It almost feels like they can read your mind. But researchers believe something much more remarkable is happening. Dogs are incredible pattern learners. After watching you repeat the same routines hundreds, even thousands of times, they begin noticing tiny signals that happen before every action. A quick glance toward the hallway, the way you shift your weight, the direction your feet turn, even reaching for your phone before reaching for your keys. To us, These movements happen without a second thought. To your dog, they're clues. And when enough of those clues appear together, your dog already knows what's about to happen. They're not predicting the future. They're predicting you. Because after years of quietly studying your routines, sometimes they know your next move before you've even realized you've made the decision yourself. And somehow, the next thing they've learned about you may be even more astonishing. Number 10. They know the exact moment your routine changes. Dogs are creatures of habit. But after years of living beside you, they've also become experts at yours. That's why your dog notices something is different, even before you do. Maybe you wake up 30 minutes later than usual, skip your morning coffee, put on different shoes, or leave the house at an unusual time. To most people, those are tiny changes. To your dog, they're impossible to miss. Researchers believe dogs build remarkably detailed expectations based on our daily routines. When one part of that pattern suddenly changes, they notice almost immediately. That's why some dogs become unusually curious, restless, or start following you more closely on days that don't feel quite normal. Not because they know what's about to happen, but because they know something has changed. And as incredible as that sounds, the next ability may be the most astonishing of them all, because your dog may notice changes happening inside your body, long before you ever do. Number 11. They know when your hormones are changing. If you've only remembered one thing from this video, make it this, because this is one of the most extraordinary abilities your dog possesses. There are countless stories of dogs suddenly becoming unusually protective, refusing to leave their owner's side, or behaving differently for days before their owner realized anything had changed. For years, people dismissed those stories as coincidence. But scientists now believe there's a remarkable explanation. As your hormones change, so does your scent, stress hormones, pregnancy hormones, even subtle hormonal shifts caused by your body responding to everyday life can alter the scent. Molecules your body naturally releases. Humans can't detect those changes, but a dog's nose is built for an entirely different world. Researchers estimate that a dog's sense of smell is tens of thousands of times more sensitive than ours, allowing them to detect incredibly small concentrations of certain odor molecules. That's why specially trained dogs have even been shown to identify changes associated with some medical conditions and physiological states by scent alone. Your dog isn't diagnosing you, and they aren't predicting the future. They're simply noticing tiny chemical changes that your body has been producing all along. To them, those invisible scent changes tell a story. It's why some owners say their dog became unusually affectionate before they realized they were pregnant, or unusually attentive during periods of intense stress. Your dog doesn't understand hormones, but they do understand you. And sometimes, they notice that something has changed, long before you ever do. Number 12. They know who influences your home the most. If you live with other people, your dog has probably figured out something that most families never think about. They know who has the biggest influence in your home, not because someone told them, but because they've been watching. Who usually gives the commands, who decides when it's time to leave, who everyone looks at when something unexpected happens, who fills the food bowl, who opens the front door, who wins the game. Dogs are incredibly observant. Instead of listening to conversations, they watch patterns. And after seeing those same patterns repeated hundreds of times, they begin to understand how your household works. That's why many dogs behave differently around different family members. They've learned that every person plays a different role, and they've quietly adjusted their own behavior to match. Which raises another fascinating question. If your dog remembers people this well, what else have they been keeping track of all these years? Number 13. They know when you're watching them, and when you're not. Have you ever walked into the room, only to catch your dog jumping off the couch, or suddenly stopping whatever they were doing the moment they noticed you? That's because your dog isn't just paying attention to you. They're also paying attention to whether you're paying attention to them. Researchers have found that dogs respond differently depending on whether a person is watching them. They notice where your eyes are looking, whether your body is facing them, and whether they have your attention. To your dog, those signals matter. That's why some dogs wait until you leave the room before investigating the trash, sneaking onto the bed, or exploring places they know they're usually not allowed to go. It's not that they've forgotten the rules. They simply understand when the rules are being observed. After years of watching you, they've also learned when you're watching them. And somehow, The next thing they've learned may be even more surprising. Number 14. They know when you're hiding physical pain. Sometimes, the people around you don't notice that you're hurting. You don't complain. You don't mention it. You simply keep going. But your dog may notice almost immediately. Researchers have found that dogs are remarkably sensitive to changes in the way we move. Even a slight limp, a slower walking pace, or subtle changes in posture can signal that something isn't right. Many dogs also react to changes in scent that can accompany illness or injury. That's why some owners notice their dog becoming unusually gentle, following them more closely, or refusing to leave their side when they're not feeling well. Your dog doesn't understand exactly what's causing the pain, but they don't need to. They've spent years learning what normal looks like for you. So when your body begins moving differently, or your scent begins to change, they notice, long before anyone else says a word. And after quietly watching every change you've ever gone through, they've learned one final thing about you. Number 15. They know the real you better than anyone else. After everything we've talked about, your emotions, your routines, your voice, your habits, your scent, your fears, the incredible truth is this. Your dog hasn't just been learning isolated things about you. They've been learning you. Every ordinary morning, every difficult day, every quiet evening, every chapter of your life. They've watched you celebrate your happiest moments and silently stayed beside you during your hardest ones. They've seen you become stronger. They've seen you become tired. They've seen versions of you that even the people closest to you may never have noticed. And through all of it, they've never needed an explanation. Because your dog has never judged you by your worst day, or your biggest mistake, or the version of yourself you try to hide from everyone else. To your dog, you're simply the person they've chosen to love. Perhaps that's why they always seem to know exactly when to sit beside you, without asking a single question. Not because they understand every word you say, but because after years of quietly studying your life, they've come to understand something much more important, the real you. And maybe that's the most remarkable thing your dog has ever known.